Okay, folks, let's take a look at the stocks that we'll be looking to trade potentially this coming week. First stock up is GSE. Most of these are going to be extreme oversold stocks. I'm not looking to short all that much. We have Tesla, we have TZA. I'm looking to balance out my portfolio right now, my trading portfolio, and look to trade through the long side um, just in case this market does break out. So, first stock up, daily chart GSE Holdings Inc. NYSE traded stock RSI. Just barely makes it onto our screener, 19.44. I think the stock goes lower. I mean, you had a bottoming tail, doji, and then a continuation breakdown on Friday. And watch the $5 per share level. It becomes very, very difficult for institutions to hold stocks valued at less than $5 per share. They won't buy them, and they probably won't hold them either. And if it continues to break down, look out below for the stock. I think we're going to head lower, and it's a big candlestick as well. So more than likely you're going to get another one of those. Volume came in about average. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. All right, weekly chart, all-time low, $5.50. That was a real important level to hold. It failed. $6 per share was the prior. Now it's resistance. You could see how for 2 weeks in a row it attempted to break back up above it, failed to do so, and I think we're going lower on GSE. Okay, let's take a look at the total shares short. As a percentage of the float, only 3.3% of the shares are short, and the average daily volume is very low. And I want to put this into perspective, the 10-day moving. And I always use the higher of the two numbers, as you know. But when you take a look at the total shares shorted, which is just shy of 200,000 shares, and take a look at the number of days we've seen above 100,000 shares traded, there aren't many. And most of them are up days on counter trend moves, not down days. So I think we have a potential here for a multi-day short covering rally because on a 3-month daily basis, it's about 58,000 shares. So if you take a look at it from that perspective, well, you know what? There is, even though it's a very small percentage of the float and still overall very few shares short, there's still a good opportunity there for a short squeeze. And once this goes below $5, it becomes more and more difficult for traders to short the stock. No dividend, not much cash, lots of debt, as is the norm. All right, let's move on. LNCO, Linco LLC. Very volatile. Look at this bottoming tail here. Wow. RSI is at 17.07. Big volume. That's going to need to drop down before we get interested. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart before we pull back to the historical data. All right, so you had a big flush out of shares, a big counter trend move on Friday. What a gorgeous play off of 2250. 50-period moving average, 30-minute chart again, is steep decline. This is not one I'm going to want to chase by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to want to see it come down to a double bottom retest. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. All right, there is no historical data here. We're in uncharted waters, so we're certainly not going to want to chase this stock on Monday. Let's take a look at the short interest. 16.2% of the shares are short. Total shares short, 4.47 million. All right, so again, we're going to have to keep in mind that we have, on a 3-month moving basis, we have 900,000 shares average traded daily. We're going to want to see those volume bars drop down some, but we do have a setup for a multi-day short squeeze It's got a divvy on it too, 11.6% yielder. This is a small oil and gas driller out of Texas. Okay, all right, let's move on. I was just curious on what they did. DFP, Delphi Financial Group daily chart RSI is an 8.80. Kind of liking this. We're in no man's land. It doesn't look like it's been publicly traded all that long. And let's see what we got. It's a dividend player. They don't give us any short data, so I'm not exactly sure what to do with this. The only thing that really attracts me to it is that you have a RSI of below 8, so that makes it very interesting. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on it. ALJ, Alon US Energy Inc. ALJ. All right, first thing that jumps out at me is that you have the 50-day moving average threatening to take out the 200-day moving average. You know how I am about that. I like to get that in the rearview mirror. The RSI is trading below 20, but barely makes it onto a screener. It's at 19.32. No big deal. The volume bars are dropping off. That's good to see. Look for a continued rollover on the stochastics. Although I do like this consolidation here at 13. I'm torn on this. We'll probably get a pop on the stock and then roll back over and break down below the support level. So I don't know whether I'm going to be a part of this. I don't think we have an edge as of yet. Still take a look at the short interest and historical data. Yeah, this is where I want to be a part of it, down here. I think we inevitably will get there. From a risk to reward perspective, I think it behooves us to wait. Short interest, nice, 13.8% of the float, good story. Total shares short, 3.2 million, and average daily volume between 600,000 and 800,000. So good. Again, another short squeeze potential, multi-day short squeeze. BBD, Banco Bradesco, RSI at 16.49. This looks like capitulation volume to me on this break. I'm not going to be a bit surprised to see a rally right off the bat in the coming week, because it looks like it's an undercut double bottom setup. You have the 50-day moving average crossover. That's out of the way now. We don't have to worry about that. Let's take a look at the historic data. Is there any? Yeah, we're at critical support, 1174. I'll tell you, folks, I think that we're probably going to pop. So we'll look to see whether or not we make a new weekly low. I think there's a good possibility that we just pop at the beginning of the week. Let's take a look at the short interest. 35 million shares short. Average 10-day daily volume is 13 million shares. That includes that capitulation day. So you still have another situation here. You have a multi-day short squeeze potential. Return on equity, almost 18%. That's very, very good. Yeah, they're another Brazilian play. The Brazilian stocks are getting hammered. I want to get to a couple of them in a little while, or at least one of them in a little while. Yeah, banking and financial products. All right. EBIX. This one's been on our screen for several weeks now. I haven't really spoken about it. I've just been watching it. And I think we're going to break and probably come back down and test this $8.21 level once again. So weekly chart. Why am I on this weekly chart? Yeah, this is why I was watching this one. At an RSI below 10. And normally that's something I would jump on. For some reason, whenever I see bottoming tails like this, I didn't get involved. It's very similar to one of the other stocks we just went over. I get worried that the stock is going to consolidate sideways, not make any headroom, thus alleviating the extreme oversold condition on the RSI. And pretty much that's what's happened here. If we get a breakdown further, and put more pressure on that RSI, then fine, we'll look to get involved with it. However, right now, we're losing the edge, and I'm not that excited about it. The ADX line is above 60. That's pretty good. But again, I would like to see this red line and a spike higher, double top on it. Now, this is a 30-minute chart, and the first thing that strikes me is that you're looking at an RSI that's looking rock solid on a 30-minute basis, breaking out, didn't pull all the way back down. It held right here at the neutral level and is now breaking out. This is a pretty good consolidation. If we do decide to get involved with it, I'm just going to put a stop loss right below $9.13. And if it gets taken out, we get taken out. I like the RSI. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see a pop on this thing on Monday morning. Let's take a look at that short interest. 33.8% of the shares are short. 10 million shares short. Wow, this is a big short squeeze potential. 1,337,000. Scratch that. 1,377,000 shares traded on average. This looks like a nice setup. Beta, which is a measure of volatility, is at almost 2. Huge, huge, huge beta. Look at the fundamentals. Return on equity, 20.29%. Huge. Revenue growth, 10%. Almost 10.6%. That's just 10%. Quarterly revenue growth, almost 20%. Good company. Okay, EBIX. I may have just sold myself on it. EBIX. Next stock. All right, I received an email from fellow member Shane, and he asked me to take a look at a couple of stocks. One was PBR, Petrobras, as it's known here in the States. The stocks gotten killed, and what Shane was looking to do was he was looking to buy some as an investment. So this is a daily chart, and I strongly urge you, if you're looking for an investment, never, ever, ever use a daily chart. An investment meaning you're looking at minimum several months to several years. So you never want to use a daily chart. It's far too volatile. But since we're looking at the daily chart, you have an ADX line well above 50. You're making lower highs on this red line, double bottom on the green line, higher lows on your Stokes, higher lows on your Stoke RSI. So from a trade perspective, this is looking interesting. But now let's pull back, and just keep in mind before I leave this, RSI is still at only 21.41. So we're just watching this one. And keeping Shane in mind as an investment. I want to discuss it from an investment perspective. Here is the downtrend channel. It's a widening downtrend channel. And what we've done is we closed below the lower band of the downtrend channel. Traditionally, as you saw back here, here, we consolidate and rally up to the upper band. So I think that we have a good potential here for a rally in the coming weeks, especially if we get a continuation breakdown. Volume is still rising, so it implies that I have a lot of institutional distribution still going on. Do I have the monthly chart up here? No, let's take a look at the monthly chart. All right, so in a monthly perspective, we closed below 13.19, which is pretty significant support for the stock. 11.96 appears to be a fairly good entry point for an intermediate trade. I think the way to play it is, even if you're going to trade this as an investment, okay, your intent is to use it as an investment, I need to go back to this, right? This is how I need to look at stocks from an investment point of view. And I did this when I made my call on Japan using the monthly chart, TD Ameritrade, and it goes like this. What you want to see is this downtrend, the upper band of this downtrend channel breached and closed upon. You want to see a rally beyond and then a pullback and a successful retest of this declining downtrend line. That's when you start looking at it from, you just add a few more shares to your portfolio and don't worry about it. Let the stock heal, get accumulated, let it rally for up to several months to several years. As it stands right now, this is a stock that if you get involved with it, it's got to be monitored and managed on an intermediate term basis, due to the fact that the probability of it rallying up to this primary downtrend channel and it pulling back down and going lower is quite high. Now, if we break out, pull back, retest, that's a sign that, you know what, selling pressure is alleviating and we may want to get more involved with the stock for a longer term. And what is the next test? The next test is right here. If it breaches above there, pulls back, holds, you want to add some more. Rallies up to this really significant. This is the granddaddy of the downtrend lines right here, which currently sits at $20 per share. If we see that rally, pullback, successful test, that's when you want to be all in. So Shane, that's my call on PBR. I think from an intermediate trade perspective, I think it's a good setup. However, you need to look to take profits at these points here. And if they hold, and it looks like you're going to rally again off of these levels, they're going to be act as support levels, then you want to look to add it as an investment. You could basically, you're changing your mindset from trade to investment. And I hope that answers your question, Shane. If it doesn't, please shoot me an email. Short interest, out of curiosity, the trader in me. Total shares short, 30 million shares short. This is a huge move up. Prior month had 17 million shares. As of June 14th, that number jumped to 30 million shares. Very, very interesting. So that means that when this stock gets squeezed, there's going to be a lot of people hurting. So this is good to see that you're seeing more shares. It's becoming more and more overcrowded. I like that. Hopefully they take it down further. They suspended the dividend. Huge beta, almost 2. All right, Shane, we'll keep an eye on this one, bud. All right, this is another one Shane had asked us to take a look at, GDX monthly chart. Good consolidation here. Again, as from an investment perspective, my attitude holds the same. We've got to close above these downtrend lines, these upper bands of these downtrend lines. Ideally, we break down further and we can begin to add to this GDX as a trade, because I believe on a... So Shane, I hope this answers your question. As an investment perspective, we want to see the GDX trade above the upper bands of a declining downtrend channel. Very, very critical. And then you can begin to add as an investment. As a trade right now, I don't know. The jury's out on this one. I think we're going to probably break down, even though we had a couple of months of selling respite for the most part. I mean, it's held, it hasn't broken down to new lows. I think we're going to. These gold miners are getting killed right now with the price of gold. There's an article out today that their ability to generate free cash flow with gold at these levels is virtually impossible. So this is not a good sector. Slow stochastic is interesting, double bottoming out. I'd like to see one last flush down, honestly, to retest the extremes down here at $15 per share. And after seeing this correction that it's been in, it's not too much to really ask for. I mean, the highs were $66.11. They closed on Friday at what, 23.42. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. All right, Tesla. We reopened a short trade in Tesla. Lots of shorts in here. It's not a big position. I'd like to add to it, but I'm not willing to get my face ripped off in doing it. I want to see a key reversal and a close below 115. This is a really wimpy move up here, up to 120. Lots of topping tails. All right, so we're going to stay short of Tesla. TZA, well, it is what it is. We're retesting the lower band of this trading channel. RSI uptrend is still in place. Stoke RSI uptrend has been broken. Money flow remaining okay. So we're going to stay long of the TZA for now. And that's it, folks. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, and I will talk to you throughout the week. Talk to you soon.